Welcome back everyone to Azam Sharp channel. In this video, you'll be learning about how you can display the statistics associated with our reminders. Now, when I talk about statistics, I'm basically talking about this top portion over here, which consists of 4 different tiles. We have today tiles, meaning how many reminders are for today, or how many tasks are for today, scheduled, all, as well as completed. So this is what we'll be building. All right, and we'll see how far we get with a single video. It might take us a couple of different videos to get to this point. Now, in our actual application, our My List screen looks like this. It does not really have the tile on the top. You can see from our simulator that each of these tiles are getting information regarding different kinds of reminders. This is only for today reminders. So basically reminders for only for today. Then you have scheduled, completed, and so on. So now the question is, should we go ahead and make 4 different calls to the database to fetch these things? Or should we just fetch all the reminders? This is a difficult question to answer. I mean, you can definitely fetch all the reminders, but then eventually when you have like a lot of reminders, I'm talking about like thousands and thousands, then you may cause some performance issues. But right now, our application is small and we can always refactor it in the future. And if we're doing 4 different requests because we have 4 different things and we are pulling it from the database, then we are going to the database 4 times. Now that particular approach is also fine because the database is actually hosted on the device. So it's going to be really fast. So it's not like we're going across the wire and networking requests. We're just going through the database, or we're getting the stuff from the database that is hosted on the device itself. So I'm going to go ahead with the first approach, which is I'm just going to go ahead and get all the reminders when we start over here. So we'll say private var reminders, and this is going to give me a reminder. Now, one of the things that I want to change over here is I only want to get the reminders that are not completed. Now, this is something that you can do, but this might be the first thought that goes into your mind, right? That I only want the reminders that are not completed. But if you see over here, you need to get the reminders that are completed too. So if you're trying to do the filter over here and you're trying to get only the reminders that are not completed, that might cause some issues, okay? Because you won't be able to get those reminders. Okay, now after this, now the question is, well, this is going to give us all the reminders. Well, how can we get the reminders that are completed, are for today, and all that stuff? And for those things, again, there are multiple ways. I can just go ahead and create these properties. I'll say incomplete reminders. So these will be all incomplete reminders. And we can say reminders.filter. Now we have access to all the reminders. So now we can say give us all the reminders that are incomplete. And using the same approach, we'll be able to get today's reminders, scheduled reminders, as well as completed reminders. So this is how you'll get the today's reminders, where the reminder date is today. If you want to get scheduled reminders, so for scheduled reminders, the reminder date will be not nil, so it will have something. So that's how you can get scheduled reminders. And then finally the completed reminders. So this is going to allow you to get all the completed reminders. Okay, great. So we're just using the reminders that are coming from our database, and based on the property, we are simply filtering on top of that. Okay, so what will be our next step? Well, another thing that we want to do is to create those things, like those 4 different boxes. And there are many different ways of creating those boxes. What I'm going to do is I'll start with just creating and working on the box itself, which will be a SwiftUI view. Let's call it reminder stats view because it is displaying some sort of a stats about the reminders. Let's go ahead and add that. Now we can work on only the reminder stats view. And once we are satisfied, like how it's displayed, then we can start using it. The reminder stats view, we can send in the icon for that particular reminder. We can send in the title of that reminder. And another thing that is displaying is the count. So let's go ahead and send in the count also. Based on these things, we can go ahead and create a group box. You can see over here, reminder stats view, it's kind of complaining that, hey, you got to pass in all the arguments. So let's go ahead and pass something. I'm going to go ahead and pass in calendar over here. That's the first one. And the title can be today as a string. And we can go ahead and say 9. Okay. Now we can use any kind of a SwiftUI view to create our interface. I'm just going to use a group box, and you can see that how it kind of displays. I can also wrap this inside a group, and not a group box, but just a group to see how it will look like. But currently it looks pretty good. I mean, this is how it looks like. That's pretty fine. Okay, that's pretty good. So we can actually start using this. So let's go back to our My List screen. And in the My List screen, we have to use it. Now the question is, how should we create these 4 boxes? You can always go ahead and hard code these things, and that is a fine approach. I mean, if you want to do that, hey, that's perfectly fine. The other way that you can do that is to run a loop and create those things. So let me first show you how it will look like if you were trying to create this hard-coded. So we can have a VStack, and now in the HStack, we can say reminder stats view. Let's go ahead and pass in something. Let's say calendar, and the title can be today, and some dummy data, just to see how it will look like. Okay, this is how it looked like. That's pretty decent. And now what we can do is we can kind of like copy this again and put it again. Okay, that's pretty good. And now we can just copy this again and do it again. There we go. I mean, it can be this simple if you're just displaying these reminders. But not only that we are displaying the reminders, we also need to do some other action, right? I mean, we do want to do on-tap gesture and all of those different things. So what we're going to do is just try to make a basic UI, and then we can do something about it. All right. So you can see we have calendar, we have today, we have, well, we shouldn't be using calendar again. We should be using something else. So let's go ahead and just kind of like hard code things, and then we can see what's going on. I mean, that's the best way to learn about these things. All right. So now let's see what we want over here. So we got the today over here, passing 10 value. And looking over here, now the next thing we need is a scheduled one. So we'll say schedule. So let's put some scheduled over here. And the icon for schedule, we will use calendar.something, calendar.circle.fill. Okay, so we're using that. It's kind of small for some reason. We have to take notice to that, with how it is being displayed. Okay, so we got the scheduled. The next thing is, let's do all over here, all, and the icon for all, and you can use any icon you want. All right, this is the icon, sorry, and we're going to say all. Okay, and the final one is completed. So completed, and for completed we have a different icon that we can use. Perfect. All right, so this is how it kind of looks like when we are using our HStack and all of these things. So this is how it will look like. All right. So you can create the top part of it using this interface. Now, if you want to extract this out into a separate view, you definitely can do that. But keep in mind, one of the things that we want to do is when you select this reminder stats view, then it will also perform the navigation. So this may become a little bit more complicated because now you need to add navigation to it. All right. I mean, you can, but it definitely will become a little bit more complicated because you have to do an on-tap gesture in all of them. All right. There are some other ways that you can accomplish that, but we're trying to use the most simplified one that comes to our mind. And then maybe in the future, we can go ahead and make sure that this is nice and clean. All right. So this is what it looks like right now. Okay. So now the question is, well, how do we populate these things? I mean, the count over here. Well, this is for today, right? We already have this for today, which is today's reminders, this one. So maybe we can simply say today's reminders dot count. And you can see today's reminder becomes 2. Okay, that's good. For schedule reminder, maybe we can say schedule reminders dot count. And for all reminders, I guess that can be, I think all reminders, I don't know if they're talking about all of them or only completed. I think they're talking about all of them. So let's go ahead and say reminders.count. So this is going to be all of them. Okay, and completed reminders will be completed reminders.count. I don't know if you need incomplete reminders over here, so we can remove that for now. If we need it, we'll bring it back. But right now, we're not even using it. So at least we got the top portion done. You can see it looks nice. The one thing you will note, which is a big thing, is none of that actually works. The top portion is supposed to also be doing navigation. Like if I go to my actual app over here and say today, you can see that it's actually doing navigation. So now the question becomes, well, how can we perform navigation over here? All right. So this is an interesting question because we need to find out that how navigation can be performed. Well, let's go ahead and see that how we can do that. The first thing we need to do is if we are on this screen, we need to handle the on-tap gesture. So we can do that by simply saying on-tap gesture and then write some code over here. And we have to do that for every single view. So we have to put this with every single stats view that we're doing. There we go. All right. And maybe in the future we can make it better. But right now we're just going through our first pass, and the things that we are trying to do, that seems logical, right? I mean, this is kind of like the first time if you're doing something, this is what we will set it up. Now, the problem is, what should we do inside the on-tap gesture? Which one are we selecting? Are we selecting all? Are we selecting, what are we selecting even, right? So one of the ways that you can accomplish that is you can create a reminder stats type, and we can make this identifiable. All right. And now we will define our stats type along with the ID property, because we want this, well, it has to be identifiable or else it's not going to work, because we are trying to conform to identifiable. Okay. So now we have this reminder stats type that we can use. So this means that if somebody presses on the today gesture, we can somehow set the reminder stats type, let's say over here, reminder stats type to be today. But we don't really have anything called reminder stats type. So we need to go ahead and create that as a state property. So I'm going to go in somewhere over here, and I'm going to go ahead and add that as a state property. So we added it right there. And now I can set it to be today when I'm tapping on the schedule one. So I'll say reminder stats type equals to scheduled. When I'm tapping on all, I'll say reminder stats type equals to all, and then the same one, which means the completed one, equals to completed. Now keep in mind that this is one of the ways, this is fine. We know that we're going to have like 4 of these tiles. If you were to say, hey, we should have like 6 or maybe 8 or 10 tiles, then I'll have to adjust this, because then it will be a little bit weird to do it this way. Or maybe I'll have to obviously move this out somewhere else. Okay, so at this point we have the reminder stats type. You can set this today, you can set this to schedule, you can set this to all and as well as completed, but that doesn't really cause any navigation, right? I can go ahead and tap on today, schedule, all, and completed. It's not really going to do any navigation. So what can we do to perform navigation? Well, let's go ahead and learn about that after giving a thanks to our sponsors. Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Azam Sharp School. Azam Sharp School is one of the largest catalog for iOS development videos. You can check out all of these different courses, including my brand new course on SwiftUI architecture. Now, this is the only course that is available online which deals with the architecture, and it talks about a lot of different things, meaning migrating from MVVM to MV, understanding aggregate models and stores, SwiftUI views, validation, navigation, testing, and much more. SwiftUI architecture has always been in the topic of hot debate, so I present you with my 3 years of research in this course. So definitely check out this course. And the best way, what most people find, is they simply enroll in the membership plan, because the membership plan allows them to use or to watch 23 comprehensive courses, 140 plus hour, and they also get 50% off on the workshops. Now, these workshops are very practical. They are hosted over Zoom. So you can go to the workshops link and check out the upcoming workshop. We have a workshop coming up which is for SwiftData. I have a workshop for Introduction to Server-Side Swift using Vapor, and I have a workshop for testing as well as CreateML. So there's a lot of workshops that are coming up, and this is like one of the best ways to learn. It's a 3-hour workshop over Zoom, very hands-on. So check out azamsharp.school and check out my courses. Thank you so much. Now, in order to perform the navigation, one of the things that we can do is we can do similar stuff that we did for navigation for selected list. We can use the navigation destination. So let's go and try to add the navigation destination. Navigation destination. Now in this case, the navigation destination, we're going to use the item again, and we are going to be saying reminder stats type. Whenever that changes, we're going to perform the destination, we're going to perform the navigation, we're going to get the unwrap reminder stats type, and then we can do a navigation stack and show them the reminder list view. Now, we don't even have the reminder list view, but let's go ahead and see that. Can we even do the navigation like this? Let's say hello world. All right. Let's see if this works. That's all we're trying to do. Okay, I'm going to press on today. Oops, nothing really happening on. All right, well, let's see what's going on. Is this even getting fired? That's the first thing, right? Let's go ahead and build our app. We need to make sure that everything that we're doing is, well, working. So whenever we tap on the reminder stats view, we set this to today, and that is going to hopefully cause something to happen over here. And there we go. Okay, at least the navigation is going on, right? That's good. The navigation is at least going on. But what we really wanted to do is we want to show you all the reminders based on the type of navigation. Like if this is a today's reminder, then you should only see today's. All right. So that is not going on. So basically, in the end, what we really want to do is to create a separate view, reminder list view, where we can simply pass in the reminders. Now, there is no such thing as a reminder list view, so this is not really going to work. But these reminders, actually, it should be something like this. It should be like reminders and then for, and then we can say reminder stat. And then this should give us all the reminder based on the reminder stats type. So which can be today reminders, scheduled reminders, completed, or all. But we don't even have this function, right? Let alone the reminder list view. So let's go ahead and build this function, which is the reminders function. This should be easy to build. I'm going to go ahead and add this function right here. I'm going to call it reminder stats. Well, it should be just called reminders. And for type, reminder stats type. And this is going to return reminder. Now, based on the type, so this is actually a function, so let's call it function. Based on the type, so we can go ahead and, based on the type, if it is all, then in those cases, we will just return all the reminders, which we already have. If it is scheduled, then we're just going to use all of those different properties that we built earlier on. We're just going to use that. If it is today, then we can go ahead and say today's reminders. And finally, if it is completed, then I think we also have something called completed reminders. Perfect. So this is how you will create this function. Now we can go over here and we can kind of like call this particular function. All right. Now, eventually I want to create reminder list view, but right now we don't have it. So I just want to see if it's even working or not. So over here, I'm going to simply say reminders for, and we're going to pass in the reminder stats type. Don't worry, we're going to delete that code. This is not how I will write the code over here. I'll use the reminder list view, which we will have to create eventually. But I just want to see if it works or not. And it's so simple to see if it works, right? Okay, there we go. We will remove it and replace it with reminder list view to be created, because we don't really have anything called reminder list view. Now if I go to today, okay, I can see 2. I should see 4 in all. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Scheduled is also 2 and completed is 0. If I go, yeah, that looks around about right. We don't really have any checkboxes right now, but at least we can go to these things, right? I mean, we can go from this particular view using our stats, these boxes, we can travel to the next one. And probably if I go ahead and say navigation title over here, I should be able to get the navigation title, but where is the navigation title, right? So what we can do is we can go back to our reminder stats type, and in the reminder stats type, we can add just a title property, and that will return us the title. So there we go, a title property. Nothing more. And now we can go over here and we can say reminder stats type dot title. So we will also get the title. Today, oops, not really getting the title. That's kind of weird. Maybe I need to put it right here, maybe. Okay, it's getting the title. I guess it's getting a title in the all right over there on the top. But we can play around with this, like how it actually displays correctly. All right, we can play around with it. Don't worry about that. I wonder if I can add the title to the text. Well, that's not really going to be good. We'll check it out. Don't worry too much about the title. We'll figure it out eventually. All right. So this is at least a good start. It's not completed yet because I want to create reminder list view. And when you go to the detail, these reminders, you can see they don't even have the checkbox. They don't have it's not displaying anything. And because we're simply displaying the title. So they should be using reminder cell view to display those things, but we will have to build some sort of a reminder list view to encapsulate all of that. And that is something that we'll cover in the next video. So hopefully you have enjoyed this. Thank you so much.